Praise the Lord. I'm Bishop Vandy. This is Pastor Barbara. We are ready for another discussion of love and happiness. We want to give everybody a chance to log in. We're excited about the hundreds of views and even thousands on some of the conversations that we've been able to contribute to people. So we definitely are ready to talk about something that is so important in every aspect of relationship. Whether it's a friendship, whether it's a marriage, whether it's the dating process, to build to something stronger. We're going to speak about how to insulate your relationship. We're coming straight out the book that we have written, Love and Happiness, and we want to make sure. Last week we used chapter 11 of our book as a backdrop to answer a question. Today we're just, for the respective time, we're going to just go straight from the book. Those of you who still want to, we're going to answer your questions. If you have questions that you would like us to address or comments or anything, absolutely just email us at questions@loveandhappiness.tv. That's questions with an S at loveandhappiness.tv. So it's good to see everybody who's checking in with a like. Be a blessing to this real quick. I'm going to say it once or twice through the broadcast because one of our media folk, Brother Noel, made me aware that we should be saying something that I wasn't saying before, and that is to ask you all to please right now hit your share button, which is on the lower left of your screen, to share the page right now live on your side of town, so that way your circle and friends will have an opportunity, the same as you, to get what I think is going to be some really good impartation and information. So when you hit the share button on the lower left, do me a favor and just hit a like symbol on the screen so we can all see who's sharing it, and we're going to continue to ask that as more people log in. But we definitely want to get it out as fast as we can so we can get started and have everybody who's interested to hearing just real relationship talk kind of be a blessing to you. So again, it shouldn't be hard. Find your share button, hit share if you be so kind, and then hit a like button or a thumb, because we're not right able to tell if it's been shared while we're live. But as Brother Noel asked me to do, that's what I'm doing. So with that, prayerfully you all are ready to talk some real love, real relationship stuff, and we will look time to time to the screen to see if anybody is interested in. Thank you for sharing. I see the shares. I appreciate everything. We're going to jump right on in. We've already prayed. So everything is in order. We want to talk about relationships today, Pastor Barbara, from the standpoint of insulating them. There are some, most relationships start off with people wanting to go long term. Very few relationships are started from the beginning with people saying, listen, I know we're not going to make it. We're not going to be together long. And hey,
we have an expiration date.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Yes, that's even better, because most people don't realize that if they don't insulate the relationship properly, they literally put an expiration date on their covenant. If you don't protect your relationship in advance, and really, on a conscious level, because most people, they go into a relationship focusing on the good times, and they don't spend any real effort to prepare themselves for when they cross swords or when they disagree, and how are we going to handle that. So as a result, they are premeditated in building covenant, and very reactive. They're reacting to every negative thing. So when something negative happens, they start reacting, and they start to feel like, I don't know about this anymore. Well, there is no relationship, including ours, that is above some disagreements, some, as you like to call,
intense moment of fellowships.
Yes, intense moments of fellowship. I'm more hood. I call it arguing, fighting, fussing,
No, it's
whatever.
an intense moment of fellowship.
And honestly,
because
you're right.
Death and life, what is in the power of the tongue?
Mm-hmm.
They that love it eat the fruit thereof. We don't fight. We don't argue.
No,
we have those intense moments of fellowship.
Right. I didn't say
That's
fighting, but
yeah.
I wouldn't want to fight with you.
We don't do that.
Yeah, no, because you don't want to fight with her. But what's important, what I want to make sure that folk are paying attention to, that I want you to come away with, what I want those of you watching to come away with, is to understand some conscious steps that you would say, you know what, the next relationship or my current relationship, this is some things we need to start doing now, because as sunny as it is right now here in Florida for us, is as certain there will be rain one day.
Right.
There is no relationship that is above the storms of life, the circumstances. Life itself is like a flood. It can rush in like a flood, hit you, start you all, where all of a sudden you were in agreement. You ever been in a relationship where you started off real good in the same day? The day started nice, y'all nice with each other, everything's good, and by the end of the day, things have just blown out, where all of a sudden there's strife, there's no joy, love and happiness is absent. It's just frustration, and you just go from the morning of love and happiness to a sudden storm of disagreement.
And suddenly.
Yeah. And suddenly.
Without warning.
Without warning. And so here's what I want to do. Again, I'm going to do it maybe about 3 or 4 times, and then I'm probably going to forget about it. Forgive me in advance, Brother Noel. Please, those of you who are tuned in, we're asking everyone to share it on your page as we're live. So there's a share button that my media man of God asked me to remind everyone to hit. And so with that in mind, it should be on your lower left. If you would be kind enough to just share it with your viewers or your circle, that would just be phenomenal, because we're going to really talk about a key that I think, or perspective that if used right becomes a key that really will strengthen all of your relationships, friendships, marriage, loved ones, all that kind of stuff. And that is how to properly insulate. Okay, so I did it twice. Okay, Brother Noel said do it a couple of times through the, to get everybody on board. So I'm going to be obedient because I can follow instruction. Okay. I can. So here's what I want to talk, or at least address first. I want to lay the foundation on first. Most relationships, when you think about the ones you've had that did not succeed, you think about the relationship that you're in right now when the ups and the downs are occurring. And you think about the ups, you think about the downs, you think about where and what is happening in your life. Here's what is a real good, I think, indication or analogy that will help you understand where you are and how effectively you have already insulated your relationship. I have a perspective that most relationships, all relationships require equity, okay? Meaning it's hard to draw from a relationship that you don't have anything in. If someone from just around the corner, some random person knocked on your door and said, hey, would you do me a favor and do XYZ or give me XYZ? And if you don't have any equity with that relationship, you will have limitations as to how far you will inconvenience yourself. Amen. Facebook Live. Amen. You as a good Christian, you may be willing to do certain things, but then the people that you have invested in and the people who have invested in you, those individuals you will run through a wall for. Right. And the reality is this precept is not working in a lot of relationships because most relationships, if you look at it like equity, if you have a relationship, for example, where 2 individuals are together and before they need, okay, let's make it more practical. Let's say in your life, financially, you have plenty of money. Let's say you've got thousands of dollars to your life. You save, you can lay your hand on, and God has blessed you in that capacity. And I know some of y'all are like, well, yeah, amen, I receive by faith. And here's the thing. If you had a major expense pop up, let's say a suddenly, like Pastor Barbara said earlier, and suddenly. So you've got thousands in the bank already. And let's say a major appliance in your home or a major, break of something that required, they say, look, the bill's going to be $4,000. Now you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in this hypothetical. You won't even feel like you're in distress knowing you have enough money to cover the issue. You would already be like, okay, well, what's it going to cost? You may even negotiate it down a little bit just from a stewardship standpoint, but you're not in distress. Adversely, or say you don't have, say you have just a couple of $100 in the bank, and a major thing, 4 tires are slashed, something crazy. 2, 1, yeah, amen.
2.
That and suddenly really, really makes you feel like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? How am I going to make it next? Well, most relationships are really like that, because they don't have a lot of equity that gives them the confidence that they've already insulated their relationship to say, no matter what happens in our relationship, I know we're going to stick together. Right. What happens is usually they have very little equity in their love. They have very little. It's not a whole lot. And so soon as something small happens, they can navigate that by reacting. Right. Some minor thing happened, a minor disagreement. They argue about something and they say things they shouldn't say. Well, there's usually enough equity in there for them to spend that equity and redeem the friendship, the marriage, the dating cycle, right, where they say, okay, we ain't gonna make it, it's over. Usually there's enough in there where you can say, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry is actually money in this scenario. You're literally spending sorries. Okay. Every time you spend a sorry, you're drawing from the equity of the relationship. Okay. Now, if you only got a couple of $100 of equity, you only got about 4 sorries in there. You only got like 4 I'm sorries before you like, you know what? Yes, and you are sorry, and we ain't gonna make it, and this is over. And all of a sudden you change your whole position. And it's really the same kind of stuff often that other people who are together for 50 years had to deal with. Okay, so what's the difference? The difference is they insulated their relationship if they're still happy together. I'm not talking about the people who are together and in bondage. We just here for the kids. We can't wait till the kids, leave the house. I can't wait to leave you. Right. I can't, none of that kind of stuff. But they're happy. Those individuals have, on some level, conscious or subconsciously, they've insulated their relationship. They have created a covering, and I certainly want to get your views on the importance of this, but they've insulated and put a covering around their relationship, so when the I'm sorry's or forgiveness need to be spent, it doesn't bankrupt the relationship. They got enough in there love-wise that you can be human and still stay in love. Because if your humanity is going to wreck the relationship, it's only because it hasn't been properly protected. Does that make sense to you all? If that makes sense to y'all, hit me with a thumbs up. If it's weird, put that crazy face up there so I know whether or not I need to make it more plain. But what I'm really just trying to make sure is that we lay the foundation of the need that everyone would insulate their relationship. So Pastor Barbara, in your estimation, what do you think is at play when people decide not to insulate the relationship?
Well, you put yourself at risk for all sorts of things to happen in a relationship when you don't establish first the foundations of the covenant, of the relationship. It's so very, very important that if you want a healthy relationship, if you want to maintain a healthy relationship, that you establish first and foremost what you want your relationship to look like.
Yes.
What you want your relationship to look like. I mean, do you want a long-term relationship? I mean, you have to fortify, you have to establish first
your vision
for the relationship. Yeah. That's what I think. If not, you're not insulating the relationship.
And I'll add to that, because a lot of people don't understand the purpose of a vision. Your vision statement or vision is supposed to create your mission statement.
Right.
Your vision is your idea of what you want it to look like.
Right.
Your mission statement is how are you going to do it? What are the things you're going to do it? Right. And so most people do have a vision, but they don't have a mission. And as a result, they just have a vision and they perish for lack of knowledge. They just don't understand because they never created, okay, so if I want to be happy in season and out, we got to do certain things. So in our mission statement, we will agree, I ain't going to talk about your mama. Right.
That's it.
Right. Because it gets real when you start saying, and you just like your mama, or you ain't nothing, Once, whatever, what I tell couples in counsel is you have to create your boundaries.
Right.
And your sore spots. You know what really makes you just shut down.
Right.
If a woman has a shortcoming or a man has a shortcoming,
right.
When I was little, I used to, we called it in New York ranking. I used to rank on people in school all the time. I could make people cry because I would rank on real stuff. At first, I'm just joking with them, and everybody's laughing, and then they get good to me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going in for the kill, and I'm like, that's why you on welfare, and your mama doesn't have the money to buy you the right kind of sneakers. Those are your brother's sneakers. You pass them, and when folk are laughing on stuff that's real. Now, I was trifling. That was heathenistic. I shouldn't have did that. I see that now. This is not to endorse bullying. But when you are hitting real spots, it's sensitive, man. It's folk will be like, oh, you're killing them, So in a relationship, if we all know what each other is sensitive about.
Right.
If you're going to cross out of bounds and start hitting with the real stuff, that's why you can't cook spaghetti. Whatever the real thing is, it's out of bounds. And when it's out of bounds, it's a foul on a whole nother level. And I'm sorry, it's hard to recover from that.
And may I say something? Early on, many years ago, we established that in the cool season of the relationship, not in the heat of the moment, but in the cool season of our relationship, we established the no points, or the points that you don't talk about my mama, I won't talk about your mama.
And the mama thing is real. Like,
we won't talk about.
I'm like, all right, my mom is my mom, I love her, but I can receive when she's short. I can't touch her mom.
No.
I found out if I say mom, she ain't hearing me no more.
That's it.
So 18 years ago, I learned. Leave her mama out of the conversation.
I can talk about my mother, and you can talk about your mother.
Right.
But we can't talk about you. It's cute and everything, but we established in the cool of the moment what we can't do, what we shouldn't do.
Right.
And when we don't do it, so when we're having our intense moment of fellowships, he know what you can't do. I know what I can't do. And if for some reason, if that party decides to cross over and do that, you are purposely
going after. You're
no-no.
hitting below the belt on purpose.
Right. You don't do that. You just don't do that.
And that's a great point.
Right.
What my wife is focusing on is a real big truth that you do establish the no-nos and everything, but the other thing is we had to license each other to be the referee to call the whistle and say that's out of bounds before we get offended.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes you just in your moment may not be as clear and cut and dry as your mama, my mama. It could be the way, the tone. It could be whatever it is that you're speaking from, and the other person has to be able to say, okay, that's out of bounds. Now we agreed that we wasn't going to do that.
Discuss this way.
And in the beginning, real talk, we didn't always care. It was like, I saw an NBA game recently where there was a little fight breakout. Wasn't much of a fight, but they threw a little punch here and there. Well, sometimes, even though the rules are there, even though the whistle will blow, sometimes you still will say, I don't care if there are referees here, I'm still going to go. So in the very beginning, we had seasons where one of us could blow the whistle and the other one's like, well, look, all I'm saying is, and we just stayed in the moment and didn't really get back in bounds, receive the technical foul, and just, just start over fresh. Like, woosah, we said that's not what we're going to do. So it is a process that you have to submit yourself to. And I think the way that you get there is whatever relationship is important to you, you need to put it on, and I talk about this in chapter 11, you need to put it on a pedestal. Right. Meaning not a pedestal that makes it rose-colored, but elevation. It needs to be higher, or or at a higher height than whatever floods of life is rushing in. So the relationship can rock a little, but it stays in a position that it does still thrive. Because if you don't raise it up, and meaning the vision we have of our future is more important than what we're fussing about today.
Right.
If you don't say, I don't want to hurt your feelings, and knowing I need your positive love, you know, where you can't disregard their heart when it suits you,
right.
You know, then when the floods and the situations occur, the relationship is elevated and protected. And that's really but before we go forward, those of you who are checked in, we're happy to see you. We're asking everyone today who is willing to please press your share button if you like the conversation that we're having, so that you can share it with those folk watching on your side of your town. But we want to share it with as many people as possible on the front side, so that we're in the live. So that's what I was told. Make sure in the live, because we're getting a nice amount of shares and views, you know, after we record and post, and that's wonderful. That is like phenomenal to see what people are enjoying, and your comments and everything. We definitely want you to send your questions. Email us. We want to talk about your life without talking about you. We want to help, you know, contribute whatever we can to your situation. But there's a share button on the left, lower left, that we're asking for you to please hit. And when you share it, please hit a thumbs up. Let us hit a like so we see it on the screen, so we know who's sharing it, and, you know, shout outs to you and all that good love. All right. That covers what I was told I need to do. All right. So in the book, some of the things that we cover that I really thought would be, thank you for the shares. Thank you for the shares. Here's something that I thought was pretty cool. The relationship has to be insulated to produce a deep level of intimacy. And the knowledge that nothing can affect your relationship is reassuring when life circumstances and tribulations pop out. So in other words, it's terrible when you have a relationship that every time you argue, you wonder if you're going to make it. That is terrible, to try to trust your heart to somebody who, when it flares, problems arise, you are rocked again saying, I don't know if we're going to make it. That is misery. And I can tell you without a doubt that there are a lot of people whose relationship has not been properly insulated. So whenever something pops up, it rocks the foundation where one or both are wondering, are we going to make it? And then they get back to, then they reconcile. Let's say they don't break up. They reconcile. They say, hey, all right, fine. You know, however they navigate past that rocky water, and they look up and they never insulate again. So here's what I say. If you were getting on an airplane and the pilot gets on the airplane and he walks on, you're seated on the plane, and he walks on and he's wearing a parachute and you're sitting in and you haven't taken off yet, and he gets on, hi, I'm the captain, how you doing? And he's wearing a parachute. You're going to be sitting there like, wait a minute, why am I getting ready to ride this plane and he's expecting to crash? You'll be like, this might not work. And what you will then do, which is the human thing, if you don't get off the plane of love, you will start looking for a parachute also. You're not going to just ride the plane watching him with a parachute saying, I hope we make it. No, you're going to be like, yeah, we ain't going to make it. All right, well, I tell you what, I got a plan B too. And all I know is, you know, say one more thing and I done saved up enough for my own, you know. Once you start riding the plane of love with parachutes on, y'all ain't going to make it. You've already made it clear that there's no foundation of trust that we can make it through a storm. Soon as if you're wearing a parachute and it gets rocky and you know how to bail, trust and believe you bail it. You know, the other person be riding the plane like, we're getting there, and it's rocky, and they might be prepared to, because they driving, they might figure we're gonna make it, and they'll turn around and then she gone. She went out the door, all I see is wind. She done jumped out like, I'm on to the next relationship. I can't do this no longer. So it's very, very important to take the parachutes off. And by that, what I mean is insulate the relationship in advance, to talk about things, to say, listen, we're not using words like, we gonna get a divorce. That was something we established very early.
Yes.
So what other things do you feel like we establish or we talk about in the early season to say what we won't do to make sure we stay together?
Well, you definitely have to establish just this being mature, the spirit of maturity, because you definitely have to be on the same accord. Just sitting down, talking to each other. Can I just say that initially, early on, I had the spirit of flight when we first got married, when we would have those intense moments of fellowships, Bishop. If you can remember, I just had the spirit of flight. I wasn't mature enough to handle the adversity that we were facing. So I still had my own house. So I couldn't handle it. So I would just flight. I would go back to my house because I didn't know how to handle it. So we weren't insulated enough. And he would be like, you can't get mad and just go back to your house because we're not facing this right. So I had to mature spiritually to understand, okay, I can't get the spirit of flight when I want to, if I'm not in agreement with something that's going on. Right. So first you have to just make sure that you both are on the same page, and by insulating your marriage, you have to be on one accord. Be on one accord before the heat of the moment happens, and in the spirit of cool, sit down like Bishop is saying, and just establish, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to bam, whether it's finding solutions on how to be in agreement, if it's money, if it's how you're going to raise your children, and be on one accord. Oh,
that's beautiful. And here's what is more powerful about what Pastor Barbara said that I would want to bring to light. When she was going to her own house, when we would get into our intense moments of fellowship, what she was actually doing was going to her comfort zone.
Yeah.
She was getting out of the heat of the relationship, going back to what's comfortable for her and familiar. So let's substitute and say you're with somebody whose comfort zone is drugs. And now you go through. Let's say you're with somebody whose comfort zone is another old flame. Now you go through and you have no security, because when they leave, you're like, I know they're leaving to go visit the old flame.
Could that be the parachute, perhaps?
Absolutely. Okay. That is the parachute. That is and even if they're not bailing on the whole
relationship
that day, the minute you jump out that plane, you don't get to fly back in.
Right.
Once you bail, you really have bailed. You got to land, you got to board a whole nother plane, and you got to make all other choices together that look like we're going to get to our destination. So everybody has something that they find comfort in. So it behooves all of us. It is paramount. We decide we're going to insulate our relationship. We're going to talk early before it gets too hot. And a lot of times you won't know these things until you start to see little patterns. Right. I've counseled with couples who, have that flight. They decide to leave and or they stop doing certain things and or they, whatever it is, you cannot justify going backwards in a relationship that's wired to go forward.
That's good.
The relationship is not wired to dwell in the past. That's why forgiveness looks like I let it go. Right. If I'm bringing it up all the time, I'm making today yesterday. And you can't have love if you do it like that. So what time is it? Because I really want to be obedient to time. We can build on it if y'all loving it. Would you all, hey, good morning, fam. I see your sister Tamika is watching, and I see Sister Sherelle. And all those who scrolled, I'm sorry, I didn't call your name. Some people say, I don't want to call names. Somebody get, feel they left out. Do me a favor, please share. And then hit a like button while we're live before we go, so that way folk will know not only what they missed, but they'll have an opportunity, obviously, to see it in a few minutes. And we want to pick this up some more. And prayerfully, this has even prompted some questions on you all's part. Thank you for your shares. I appreciate it so very, very much. We appreciate it. So we definitely want to know if you could let us know, because there's deeper to this that we can go into. Should we pick this up next week, or should we just keep it moving? the answer will be based on whether or not you say, hey, yes, let's, keep this going. So if we started down a road that you're like, yes, this is what I'm saying, this is what I'm talking about, then just do me a favor and comment and say, keep it going. And if we got other chapters, we got other questions, we got other things to cover. If you think saying keep it moving is rude, it's not. I'm asking you because we want to hear all of you all's heart. Right. We want to know, we don't want to serve steak to vegetarians.
Right.
We want to make the best Buddha vegetable, the best Chinese vegetable stir fry. So it is a blessing to us if you say keep it moving or keep it going. Mm-hmm. So just please, trust me. If anybody comes after you on Facebook, what do you mean keep it moving? I will reply and say, look, let them tell us their heart. We want to know when we're going down the path of right. We want to know when it's a blessing to you, when you feel like, yes, this is what I'm saying. So please take a second, all of you, Kingdom Covenant, our church, we definitely want y'all to keep it real because we keep it kingdom there, so we have no problem keeping it real. That's something that Pastor Barbara came up with, and we trademarked keep it kingdom because that is the staple point of everything. As I said, there's more of chapter 7 here. I believe this is chapter 7. And we certainly want to build on the concepts and the things as it relates, because I know how important it is not to feel insecure, not to feel like every time you fight, everything's falling apart, or every time you fight, somebody's going to stop cooking, or somebody's going to stop loving or paying the bills, or right. Somebody's going to stop doing their part in a relationship. So let us know, because after we post it in the set, we're going to be looking for the keep it moving and or how outweighs or keep it coming. And if you want this particular vein of discussion to keep coming, we need to hear your heart. And if you are, no vote, just tells us you can go either way. If you say keep it coming, we know what to do. If you say keep it moving, we are on to the next. And life and relationships are so complex. There's always other aspects that need our attention. Amen. So please, definitely.
Okay. We want the questions. There's a lot of people who have questions that they're just, too shy to ask. We need the questions because, that helps us,
It is. That's the iron that sharpens iron.
Yeah. Or what to talk about.
Yeah.
We need more questions, y'all.
Yeah. We've gotten questions, but we haven't gotten enough compared to the amount of viewers that are watching. Yeah. And it's just an email. It's not going anywhere. Test it out if you need to. Ask something simple to see if we're gonna shout you out. Well, Jenny in the projects at such and such 3rd Street, she says, my man is, he's sitting there watching and saying, you said that? Yeah. We're not shouting you out. We're just going to talk about the question. And what Pastor Barbara's right. We have questions, but we want so many because we just can't. We did one show where we answered just questions. And maybe eventually we'll do another like that. But I really enjoy having the opportunity to address some of your questions, but most importantly, share all the decades of sharing in relationships, of counsel, the stuff that we know is real relationship talk, So again, share the page. We're about to say, all hearts and minds are clear and give the benediction and say, we're out. Anything else that you want to say to everyone?
No, we love you guys and keep watching.
Yeah, and keep it kingdom. In the meantime, don't start fighting. It's supposed to make you love each other better. Don't be like, see, that's your problem. You talk about my mother. We love you. We say God bless you. We look forward to hearing your comments and your heart. I don't have the eyes to see it today, and I didn't want to lean back and forth. I really wanted to start moving down some real solid, real relationship talk. And we pray it's a blessing to you. We love you. God bless you. Bye-bye.